Welcome with Tactics Podcast. Today we're once again going to talk about Getting Things Done by David Allen, which is actually a pretty interesting book, even though it is something or somewhat of a book that's rather about something more, just being productive, getting things done. It is nothing, it's pretty dry, or it can be pretty dry, or there are certain rules and you have to follow those rules, and that is quite it. Period. But his approach is a bit more philosophical, at least at my point of view, which is pretty amazing, I'd say. Which really does give it a bit of an interesting edge, I would say. David Allen, Getting Things Done by David Allen, from the Derek Sivers, Sivers.rs site. Let's actually get it into here and into there. Let's do it like this and do it like that, and then it should actually indeed be fine. And there it is. Well, I don't really know where I've stopped yesterday, but I'm gonna try to find something. I'm gonna try to do that. Everything should be reviewed once a week. I think yes, there it is. The item you'll probably review most frequently is your calendar, which will remind you about things truly have to be handled that day. And I would then also argue that this is kind of the purpose of a calendar. Nothing more and nothing less, Just being able to view those things that you really indeed have to do this particular fucking day. Period. Anyway. Everything should be reviewed once a week. Ensure that all the loose strands of the past few days have been captured, clarified, and organized. The weekly review is the time to gather and process all your stuff, review your systems, update your lists, and get clean, clear, current, and complete. The weekly review is whatever you need to do to get your head empty again and get oriented for the next couple of weeks. Fuck. For the next couple of weeks, block out 2 hours early in the afternoon of your last workday for the review. When you invariably uncover actions that require reaching people at work, you will still have time to do that before they leave for the weekend. Clear your mental decks, so you can go into the weekend ready for refreshment and recreation. Well, I'd assume that, it's just having multiple meanings in English, doesn't it? But yeah, should I actually kind of alter this angle a bit? Maybe like this? Because I'm just completely dark, you cannot even see me. There we go, I would say. A bit more to the front maybe, and a bit... Can I do it darker? Well, no, I can't. Anyway, at least you can see me now. A bit of an... Maybe... Yes. Might not be the nicest light there is, or something. But I would assume that it is rather fine. It's at least okay. It is good. And let's move on. I think that it is a really, 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 really amazing idea to, when you're leaving for the weekend, that you first of all ensure that everything is done and you have done everything that you wanted to do this week. And second of all, which kind of is part of the first point, I would say, that you're able to recover in your weekend. and also recreate whatever he's willing to say with that, and so on and so forth. I think that this is truly, truly, truly amazing and truly important to point out, think about, and keep in mind. And so you should also keep that in mind and do so, because it just does make sense. It is one of those very simple ways of living, at maybe even say, that really can ensure that you're having a better life, and that you're having an easier life essentially as well. Well, anyway. What do you do the last week before you leave on a big trip? You clean up, close up, clarify, organize, and renegotiate all your agreements with yourself and others. You do this so you can relax and be present on the beach, on the golf course, or on the slopes with nothing else on your mind. I suggest you do this weekly. Bring this kind of being present to your everyday life. Think about the big things the big things while you're doing small things, so that all the small things go in the right direction. 5 phases of project planning. Have an urge to make something happen. Imagine the outcome. Generate ideas that might be relevant. Sort those into a structure and define a physical activity that would begin to make it a reality. Very interesting, and also very interestingly said. Should I actually keep it there, like directly into my face? Yeah, let's just do this. It's a bit difficult for me then to, what about changing it to this? Or is this better? Or is this even better? I don't fucking know. Could also make it yellow. That is actually pretty nice. Could also make it blue. What about red? This yellow is actually very nice to read, it's just really not bright. Really, really isn't. Can I even make it like this? That's amazing. Well, yeah. I think there's nothing too much to say about that. I just really like the phrasing. I really like the words that he's using, and I really like the way he's saying it. Just do it, period. I think it's a good idea. I think it's amazing. I think that you should do it in this way. And it kind of really feels for me like something that's indeed like it's making it easier for one to do something about things. What I mean is, define a physical activity that would begin to make it a reality. It is like, just come up with an idea that is gonna make happen what you really truly want to make happen. This kind of rephrases it into something that's actually important to do. Also the first one, have an urge to make something happen. This is kind of the basis of the whole thing. It's the basis of the whole project. That it is something relevant, that is something that you indeed want to do. If this in the end, at least this is how I'm seeing it right now, if this is like really the case then, if this is really like what things are turning out to be like, well, I don't really know. I wouldn't say so. Not necessarily. Of course, there are going to be a ton of days or also a ton of jobs you do not enjoy, or those projects you do not enjoy. But maybe you can find an urge in them. Maybe you can find a reason and a purpose in them. Maybe this project that's completely out of your way, completely out of your mind, maybe this is even indeed kind of serving one of those things that you really stand for. Who knows? Have to think about that. Clarify the primary purpose of the project and communicate it to everyone who ought to know it. Agree on the standards and behaviors you'll need to adhere to in order to make it successful. Envision success and consider all the innovative things that might result if you achieved it. Get all possible ideas out on the table, everything you need to take into consideration that might affect the outcome. Identify the mission, critical components, key milestones, and deliverables. Define all the aspects of the project that could be moved on right now, what the next action is for each part, and who is responsible for what. You stress when others engage in or allow behavior that's outside your standards. To think about what your principles are, complete this sentence. I would give others totally free rein to do this as long as they. kind of probably, as long as they get done what needs to get done, or needs to be done, whatever, would at least make sense. What behavior might undermine what you're doing, and how can you prevent it? One of the most powerful life skills, and one of the most important to hone and to develop both professional and personal success, is creating clear outcomes. And I would also say, to create clear outcomes, you need to be able to communicate very clearly, which is indeed something that a lot of people struggle with, which just makes sense with me, period. It's nothing of which I'd say like, okay, it is so amazingly interesting that people cannot communicate clearly. Well, I'm having the same problem. A lot of people have the same problem. Some are very gifted in being able to communicate very clearly and, just what they are thinking about. I'm not one of those people. But yeah. How would the ideal head of finance do his job? What would your website really look like? It's actually a very interesting website, anyway. And have as capabilities if it could be the way you wanted it. What would your relationship with your son feel like if this conversation you need to have with him were successful? I do indeed like what if questions. What if it is just easy? What would that feel like? How would you feel like? What if this, that, or the other person did this, that, or the other thing? How would you feel like? Would it even change anything? It kind of gives one a really great way to just, get things into perspective once again. Sometimes we really get caught up in life. Sometimes we really get caught up in our own mind and head about things that, may or may not be really important. Most often really unnecessary. Therefore, it is incredibly useful to think about those what if questions, or asking yourself those what if questions. What if this happens? What if that happens? Am I going to be happier? Is that just going to be any type of change? It's going to be negative, it's going to be positive, and so on and so forth. Once you get all the ideas out of your head and in front of your eyes, you'll automatically notice natural relationships and structure. Natural organization is emerging, sequences of events, and all priorities. What is the most important element to ensure the success of the project? What, specifically, you would do about something physically if you had nothing else to do? A project is sufficiently planned for implementation when every next action step has been decided on every front that can actually be moved on without some other components having to be completed first. So something that anyone could be doing on this right now. Often all that is required is to allocate responsibility for parts of the project to the appropriate persons and leave it up to them to identify next actions on their particular pieces. Yeah, I would say actually people being in charge, or those people that are in charge, they are really important. And I don't know, I think that there's always some sort of a debate, whether those people that are having manager positions, whether they should actually earn that much. On one hand, I gotta say, well, there might be a disbalance in what a manager gets, what the CEO gets, and what people in a company get. On the other hand, where or who is having all the responsibilities? Responsibilities also sometimes in terms of risks. When the CEO may also be the owner of the business, well, of course, this person has all the risks, and needs to have all the money, put in the most time, and so on and so forth, which, of course, might be applicable for some companies, or to some companies, and for some other companies, it's completely not the case. Anyway, what should I say? It's important to have people in charge of important tasks that really are competent and really are able to do what they're supposed to be doing, and get maybe these things done also relatively quickly. And I don't know, just thinking about that makes it a bit more clear for me just what companies Might be. I don't know. I do not have a company. I haven't employed anyone yet. I've had some what is it called? Some job interviews before, but I definitely am not in the right position to be like, okay, you need to be doing this and that and the other thing to get a job. No, but just thinking about it, what type of person would you employ? What type of person would you employ for a manager position? Person should probably have some experience in being a manager position or be part of your company. In terms of you're trusting this person, you have seen that this person is having drive, that this person is just doing his or her work just very well. Of course, it may not be something easy and nice to hear, but quite often we really indeed can ourselves understand what it takes. But yeah, I think that I'm gonna end the episode there. I'll hopefully see you soon. Bye bye.